Hi, and welcome to OurChurch.com's video tutorial series on WordPress. And on this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a custom form to be displayed on your website so people can submit forms directly on your website. And this will be using the plugin known as Visual Form Builder. So when you're logged into the back end or the dashboard of your website, scroll down to where it reads Visual Form Builder and click on Add New Form. So this first step is pretty basic. We're just going to give a name to the form, and we're going to call this the sample volunteer form. Our company, so you'll put the name of your company. We're just going to put a sample organization, and then replies to emails will go to this email address. So you want to submit an email or enter an email address that is already existing on your domain name. So we'll do sample@sample.com. So any replies will be sent there. And the email subject, we don't need to put that in for right now, and the email too. What these are is these will be the emails that are sent to someone within your organization to let them know that a form has been submitted. So let's just say sample volunteer form submitted, and it will go to test@sample.com. So if you have someone that's in charge of the volunteers at your organization for this particular example, that's who you would want to have the email sent to. So we will click on Create Form, and once we've created the basics of the form, the name and some of those other settings that we've just set there, now we want to get into some more of the details of the form and actually customize it. So let's start by clicking on Settings, and you can choose to have the form top aligned, left, or right aligned. We're going to keep it on the top. And then under Email, this is all the information that we just created, so we don't need to do anything with that. Confirmation. Now, after someone submits a form, you can control what is displayed. So you have a choice of either having text displayed or another page displayed, or to redirect them. And so if you wanted to have them sent to a different web page on your website, you would just simply type in the URL of the web page right here. The default is going to display the text, "Your form was successfully submitted. Thank you for contacting us." So you can change that if you want to customize the text that's displayed. You could add, "We will be in touch with you shortly." And then notification. This is if you want to notify the user that submitted the entry or submitted the form, you can have something sent to them. So the name of the sending company in this example will be Sample Organization. And the name of the reply to email address, if someone gets this notification, where they would reply to. And the subject, "Thank you for your volunteer application." And we'll just copy and put that in there for example's sake. So that is, or those are some of the settings that you have the ability to customize. Once you're done with that, it's always good to go down to the bottom right and click on Save Form. That way, if for some reason you get bumped off your website, or you leave your computer or your mobile device and forget to go back and save it. This way it's saved. So now that we've taken care of the settings, let's go ahead and create the fields that will be shown on this particular volunteer application form. So this is the information that we would like to have on the form. So we want to call this, that's the title, the Volunteer Application Form 2. We want to get their full name, their address, their phone number, phone type, meaning is it a cell phone, a home phone, a work phone, email address, the time that they can be reached, morning, afternoon, or evening, why you want to volunteer, and where you heard about us. So let's start with titling the form, Volunteer Application Form 2. And what we do is we will click on this first box that is a default box that appears on every form when you first create it, and it's called Field Set. And that is going to be a title or a heading of that particular part of the form. So that will give us our title. And then we can click on Save Form after each step if we would like to. You don't have to, but you do want to make sure that you do save the form when you are done building it. So after the title, next we want full name. So what we will do here is we will add a text box, and we will title that full name. And if you want to put a description of what you're asking for in this particular box, you can down here. I think that full name is pretty self-explanatory, so we won't be doing that for this particular text box. And all this other stuff down here, it's something that you don't need to get involved in. If you want to mess around with it, you have the ability to do that, to change the size and the field layout and some other things like that. You do have the capability of requiring certain fields. So if you want to say that the name is a required field, then you select yes. And then click Save Form. Next we're going to go to address. So that's what we want to have next on the form. And so we will click on address. And the great thing about when you click on one of these boxes is that if you like the text that will be the header of that particular field, it's already there. So you don't need to change that if all you're wanting to have in that field is address. We'll save the form. Phone number. So at that point, you click on phone. And if you look down here, now phone is there. And if you want to require that, we can. If you want to change that to read phone number, we can do that. And then after that is our phone type. Now, we're going to ask for people to select what type of phone number this is. Is this for home? Is this for work? Is this a cell phone? So what we will do is we will use what's known as a radio selection. And we will change this to phone type. And then option 1 will be cell, option 2 work, option 3 home. And if you wanted to add more options, if there was another one, you could just click on Add Option, and you could put whatever you want to in there. If you want to get rid of one of these options, you click on this button right here that shows the minus sign. And Then we click on Save Form. And here's the phone type. After that, we want email address, so we will just click on Email. And it'll add in an email box right around here. Then we want time you can be reached, morning, afternoon, or evening. Now, in this particular example, the reason that I selected this question is that I want to show you how to use a checkbox. This gives you the capability of having predefined replies, but letting the user select more than one of the options. So we will go over to checkbox and click on that. It'll add there, and then we're going to customize it. It's going to be titled Time You Can Be Reached, and then morning, afternoon, evening. We'll save the form again. Okay, next is why do you want to volunteer? Now this will probably be a part of the form that you want to give the user the ability to type more information than just than would be able to be input on just one line. And so for this particular question, we are going to use what's known as a text area. Now, when we were asking for the name, we used something that was just called text, because it was just one block of text that was going to be made available to the user to put their information there. But if we want to be able to give people the ability to write out multiple sentences, we want to select text area. So we click on text area, it adds it to our form, and then the name, why you want to volunteer, and we're going to make that a required field. We'll save the form. And then our last part of the form is where you heard from us. Radio, or heard about us rather. Radio, web, TV, drove by. In this we're going to use a select box, or a select drop down as it's known. So I'll click on select, and then I go down to where that box was added, and there's the question. And then our options are radio, TV, web, and we're going to add another option and call that drove by. And then save the form. So at this point, I have added all the different parts of the form that I want to, and now it's time for me to display that form and in one of the web pages on the site. So you'll notice down at the bottom here that it reads display form. And so for you to be able to display the form, you can either go to that page and click on the Add Form button, or you can take this little bit of shortcode and highlight it, copy it, and then add it to your page that way. So let me show you the first way to add it, which is just by going to the page and then clicking on Add Form. So I'm going to go back up to where it reads Pages and then click on All Pages. And currently, when I go to the volunteer application, there is nothing there. So what I want to do is I want to go to volunteer. I want to create a page that's called volunteer application. Volunteer application. And then if I want to insert my form, I can either paste that code that I took off from the form page, or if I just put my cursor in the paragraph area and I click on Add Form, then it will bring up a list of the forms that I've created. This is Sample Volunteer Form 2. Click on Insert Form, and it just inserts that code for me. Then I simply click on Publish. And that published the page. Now we want to make sure that that page is also in our menu structure. So to do that, I hover over Appearance and click on Menus. And it shows that it was added twice. We certainly don't want that. So let's go ahead and remove one of these. But it does show the volunteer application page is on or in the menu structure. So now, when I go to the volunteer application page, here's the form that I just created. It's got the full name, address, phone number, cell type, which are the radio buttons, email address, time you can be reached, which means that if someone wants to put in multiple checks, they can, why you want to volunteer, and as you can see, it's a much bigger box than when we just asked for the name, and where you heard about us, radio, TV, web, or drove by. And there was a little part on the bottom of that form that was called the verification. And I suggest that you keep that. It's a default feature on every form that you create, but I suggest that you keep that simply to prevent spam from going through. And this will ask a simple question. Please enter any 2 digits. And so when the user does that, they put in 2 digits and then they click Submit. So that is how you add a form to your website. I hope that this was educational and helps you manage your website more. Please come back and watch more video tutorials on WordPress so we can help you accomplish your mission online.